Hello, everyone, and welcome to ACT English Practice with Mr. Aker. Today, we're going to look at some more periods, semicolons, and commas. First off, check out number one. Without reading the sentence, just looking at the answer choices, I can see I'm looking at punctuation. D is going to create two complete sentences. So let me try plugging that one in. I know because I got a period and she. So what comes before this period has to be a complete sentence. If we look here, Ellen Clark Sargent, comma, who became an early major link between suffragists in California and those in Washington, was aided by her husband, Senator Aaron A. Sargent. Okay, so what this is not a complete thought right here. This is helpful if you can identify the subject and the verb. Here we know this sentence is about Ellen Clark Sargent, and she was aided by her husband. So this comma right here, up here by itself, is separating the subject from the predicate. We never separate the subject from the predicate with only one comma. So we need another comma after Washington. That's going to be B, right? So we started with looking at the most unique answer here, creating a new sentence, and that didn't work out. But it was able to help me figure out what the sentence was about. Ellen Clark Sargent was aided by her husband. Number two, which of the following would not be an acceptable alternative to the underlined portion? So if I notice here, I've got Senator Sargent was the first member of Congress to utter the word suffrage, comma, and he even wrote a constitutional amendment. So comma and I know is a comma and a conjunction. That's how you join two complete sentences. Two other ways you can join complete sentences. Semicolon, period will create two separate sentences. So I automatically know that F and J are also acceptable alternatives, but we're looking for not. Thankfully, they capitalized that for us. And the answer would be H. So I narrowed it down from G and H, but the reason H is not correct is because we have the subject he still, but only a comma. Only a comma cannot correctly join two complete sentences. Let's scroll down here to 3, 4, and 5. Oh, this is not helpful. The Sargents also established a relationship with the famous suffragist Susan B. Anthony, who was jailed for registering to vote. Okay, so here we're looking at commas, and 95% of the time on the ACT, the comma has one job. It's to separate the main sentence from a not complete sentence. This sentence, the Sargents also established a relationship with the famous suffragist Susan B. Anthony. That is the sentence. But we can't put a period like D says, because who was jailed for registering to vote is not a complete sentence. We wouldn't separate, we don't need a comma here. So it would be a no change, correct as it is. This who was jailed for registering to vote is just an added clause to tell us more about Susan B. Anthony. Okay, if we look at number 4, when Ellen became Secretary of the National Suffrage Association in 1872, it is not a complete sentence because it started with when. Right, so I know F is not correct, and therefore I know H is not correct because a semicolon does the same thing, and I know that J is not correct because comma and a conjunction, a semicolon, and a period are all exactly the same. So it's going to have to be G. But let's check. Her husband defended Anthony in court is a complete thought. Yep, great. Okay, so let's see. Number 5. Eventually, Senator Sargent went to President Grant to intercede on Anthony's behalf and sprang the great lady from jail. Eventually, comma, so we can't change anything about that. Just disregard that. The sentence, Senator Sargent went to President Grant, comma, to intercede on her. There's no other comma. We can't separate the subject and predicate with from the rest of the sentence with only one comma. So the correct answer is going to be C. Okay, so hopefully that helps you go through the process and the thinking, pick out the most unique, find things that are like comma and, semicolon, and a period. All those are exactly the same. So without even looking at much else, we can identify G as the correct answer. Look for the sentence, find the subject and predicate, and complete idea. All right, I'll be back Thursday, and I'll be sure to leave you some time and a question or two to do on your own. Let me know if you have any questions.